Welcome everyone, my name's Jim, and this is the new Stroke Life channel. This is the second video that I've done, and I decided to change the name on this one because it is a stroke life to me and to a lot of people out there, and it might be a little bit easier to find it also. Down the road I'm going to be changing the name also because if you look it up, it'll come up Jimi Hendrix. So it's the Jimmy B Stroke Life channel if you're trying to look it up. And this one, the title of this one's going to be How Did I Get Here? You might know how you got here or why you're here, but it's how did you get here? How did you get to this point, and why? In my first video, I did a lot of, I talked a little bit about my background, and having three strokes and some of the effects of them. I didn't get deep into all of it, but how did I get here? The big thing was I didn't go to a doctor at all. Nobody goes to the doctors. A lot of people don't. I didn't for a lot of years, and that's the one, that's a big thing. The biggest thing was I had vascular disease. I found out everything after I had the stroke. All this stuff was going on, but I had vascular disease, meaning I had too much cholesterol and too good cholesterol. So there was no good cholesterol to fight the bad cholesterol, and it built up in my arteries. I had a borderline diabetic, high blood pressure, smoked. I didn't eat that great. And I also had violent sleep apnea, which you're looking into a little bit more, how that might affect a stroke also. But I guess mine was very violent, and I had spiked high blood pressure spikes. In the first one, I said, I had three strokes. It was over a 2 week period, or maybe a week and a half. I had one on a Saturday morning. They were all around the same time for some reason. It was a smaller one on a Saturday morning. Very confused, didn't know what was going on, didn't know what was happening. Things weren't right. Bad headache and neck ache. And then I didn't even go to work for a couple of days that week. About a week and a half later, on a Wednesday, I woke up again at about 5 in the morning or so, getting ready for work, and it was like walking in my sleep. That's what it felt like to me, anyway. Didn't know what was going on. I knew something was odd, something happening. I wasn't talking that great. I had my cell phone in my pocket and couldn't find it. Didn't know where it was, and I had my wife call my phone, and I could hear it ringing like it was right in the room. And I'm looking around, and man, I just couldn't find it. And then finally I found it in my pocket, and for some reason I said it was here on sitting on my bed. I don't know. You know, Still went to work and had a hard time remembering things or people talking to me. I just had a hard time talking with, replying to things or joking with anybody. It just wasn't registering that fast. It just couldn't get it together. I went home and told my wife that, I said, something's going on, something's not right. And she said, well, I'm going to call tomorrow. We're going to go see a doctor, see what's going on. Went to bed that night, 4 in the morning, in the middle of a stroke. Didn't know I was having one, though. I didn't know I was having a stroke at the time, but I was just walking around in a daze. I thought I was walking in my sleep. I was staring at my hands, and I was laughing, and couldn't walk, couldn't talk that good. Very dizziness. Ended up in, my wife called an ambulance and ended up in the hospital. While I was in the hospital, they did all the MRIs, all the tests and CAT scans, and they found another one up there that was going to be a number 4. They gave me the, what is it? The medicine that'll dissolve the clot, and it worked. It worked for me, you know. That one would have been a real bad one because it was a very a pretty big clot, they said. So it took. I was in the hospital for 6 days. I was in there for a short time, it seemed, but I didn't have to go into. I didn't have to go into a home for to be looked after at first because my wife was going to stay out of work for a few weeks. So I went back home after 6 days. It actually took a year and a half to find out actually what actually happened because they never told me. They didn't know where it came from, and come to find out on the split where it splits, it was breaking off there, going up the back of my head, and that's where it landed. A big one on one side, and 2 on the other side. And that's what ended up happening with it. So that's how I got here. That's what happened. It probably could have been prevented of it. If I'm saying that word right, I might not be. But the big thing I wish now, I could have changed a lot of things. Going to a doctor is a big thing. Go see your doctor. I go now. I have. I have a primary doctor now. I have a vascular disease doctor. I have a heart doctor, neurological doctor, and I have the really great doctors. Luckily, that that I have a good team with it. My neurological doctor, she's amazing actually, and gives me a lot of the insight with it. With what happened with it and what does happen to people. For me, with it, in the recovery, which I don't think there's a total recovery, it might be for some people. With me, it was like pulling all the wires out and putting it back together again, and some are still laying in there fried, and when they pulled it back in, plugged it back in, it was in different spots. Because it changed a lot of different things. Personality. My personality now, me sitting here in front of a camera talking, I would never do anything like that. And if I did, my actions, everybody tells me my actions are different. A lot of things are different. Moving around a lot with talking. It changed food. Different foods, not just eating better. It's foods that I like. I hated vegetables before. I couldn't stand it. Now certain vegetables, a lot of different vegetables, I love them. So it changed my taste buds. Also, so I guess it's a plus with that one. A lot of the to this day, a lot of the bad memory. I have very bad memory. A lot of people say that, oh, God, yeah, I have a hard time remember, I can't remember anything. And I say, yeah, well, with me, it's anything. I go in the other room that, I go to take a shower, I go upstairs and I could get in bed and don't know why, I just do it. I don't remember why I'm doing that or what I'm doing. Sometimes things are firing. Sometimes they're firing normal. I'm talking all right. So other videos, I will talk it'll come out maybe a little bit more. I'm trying to do this more live time, more or real time of what's actually see it when it's really, really bad, because it is. There are times, and I'm going to talk more also, um, with recovering, like I said, I don't think there's always a totally recovery. Some people, it's, you know, there is with a lot of people, and it's awesome. With a lot of people, it isn't. Um, they tell me I'm, you know, maybe I'm 100% recovery, but I'm only at 70% brain capacity. That's what's, you know, happening. And that's why the speech goes away and the closing in. And you know, they told me when I was recovering, they said you're going to have some really good days, or you're going to have some, you know, you're going to have bad days, and then you're going to have a couple good days, and it's going to go back again, but it'll get farther and farther apart. The good days will be a little bit better, and it does, but it's those in betweens are a little bit, they're farther away. But when it does happen, because all of a sudden you're not used to it, you think you're having another stroke. You think everything is happening again. All of a sudden, my vision, which it's half blind anyway, all of a sudden I feel, you know, I'm going blind again, and it's closing in, and everything's hazy. I get tunnel vision. The lightheadedness, it's even worse than it always is anyway. You know, that's an everyday thing, but it gets to be a little bit more, and you think it's happening again. And you know, maybe doctors don't know. You know, they don't totally know what's happening. I ask the doctor, you know, these things are happening, and it's not going away. It still happens. It is farther apart, but it is, and it still happens. And sometimes it could be for a day. Sometimes it could be for a week, and you're thinking something bad is going on, and you know, you don't know what's happening. Is it? Did you have one? Did you actually have one, or is it part of just how life is now? You know, is that what's going on? So that's how I got here. That's some of the things that are going on with it, and trying to get back to a normal life with it. And that's why I started this video, was to help people, and maybe they can hear my story and what I'm also going through, and trying to move forward with it. I plan on doing a lot more videos with it, but that's a little bit more my background, and some of the things that are going on. I have to do more notes, and I have a really hard time. It actually, I woke up this morning at 8 and did some notes, and it took me until this time to actually put this together to try to actually do this. But I'm doing it, and trying to move forward with it and do this, this whole thing. So again, I want to hear, you know, like hearing from people. I'm hoping it can get out there a little bit more. If you look me up, it's going to be way at the bottom of this thing. I got to see how I'm new at it. I don't know how to get it back up to the a little higher up the list anyways, with it. And also like to hear from people, or not even if you didn't have a stroke, maybe you have a, you know, family, or your husband or your wife and what they're maybe going through. That's a big thing also, because it is a family affair. It happened to everybody, and we're all affected by it. I know it was a big impact on my family and what we all went through with it. And we all went through, when I went through the down times, they were affected by it also. Some of the other videos also, some of the things also that I'm going to try to in the video do some of them with the more of the personality and more with the anger management or the anger that does happen. It's not just because we're angry because it happened. It's an impulse. Certain impulses, the way I do things. Talking with people, talking over excited, don't realize that I'm doing it. The anger, I feel it, but don't know why it happens. It's calmed down a little. It calms down a little bit, and there are certain there's medications you can take. A lot of people don't like to. I don't like to. There's therapists that you can go to. Some people, like I put in the first video, not a lot of people go into therapy for that. But there is things you can do and work through different situations that you're in, like that, the anger that you have, or frustration, if you have a hard time talking, or which was my situation. And also I had, I put it in the first one also, I had global aphasia. And hopefully I can get things together for that also, because that's things that people don't look into enough. Therapy didn't work out too good for me with therapy, because the only therapy I had, because my arms and legs worked right and everything was fine, but I can only go to the speech therapy. And since I had global aphasia, meaning that I didn't understand people talking, I didn't understand what they're trying to say, and so they got frustrated. And how is somebody going to teach me how to talk better and do things better if I don't understand what they're saying? And that's very frustrating, and that sparks an anger or frustration, which can roll right into depression. And I went down all those roads with it. But like I said, hopefully in a couple days I can touch more of these things and go over more of these things. And like I said, it just takes me a little bit of time, and I'm trying to do it. But like I said, if you find this, subscribe, put it out there to people. Maybe some of they have some symptoms and some things they're going through, or if they just want to put it out there and hear from other people a little bit what they're going through also. And like I said, people can kind of get together and help each other out a little bit also. So hopefully in a couple days I'll have another one out there and try to put a little more things, put together a few more things. If you want to hear more, or that maybe I'm not thinking of, or people would want to see out there, just write in, and I'll try to put that on there also. Again, I'm very new to all this, but trying to do it, and maybe, like I said, this will just help some people out, help families out a little bit also. So, hope to see you again. Again, my name is Jim, and it's going to be the Jim B. Stroke Life channel. Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon. Bye.